Well, good morning, everyone. I'm so glad to be here with you today. Hello, Miss Amy Duran. You are so awesome. So good to see you. So today with our coffee, I know you already got your coffee. I already know Amy Duran has her coffee because I know I have mine as well. And it's so good to see you. Well, today, you guys, we're just really chilling. We're not talking about a lot of great stuff because there's so many things that are changing right now that as soon as you put your finger on one thing, it's changed in a few seconds. So with that in mind, we're just going to check on each other and see how everybody is doing. I do have a couple of things that I was glancing at. Do you want to see what I was just glancing at? And again, nothing heavy. I always have to let you guys know sometimes it's nothing heavy. It's just being with you that matters sometimes, right? That's what it is today. So let me tell you what I was reading this morning. This is where you want to see where I'm reading. Here's where I'm reading. I'm reading the Vatican News, and I'm trying to not even trying, but I'm just glancing through different stories and different things that I see just to just to look. This is what I do, every morning. I'll go through and I'll look through different stories, and nothing that possibly nobody else knows, because everybody knows some of the stuff that I pull up, because I don't have any really deep connections to really creepy stuff. But with that said, I'm just glancing through here, and to me, it's so amazing that it is all about one thing. Let me check my volume. I'm going to listen to this on my cell phone right quick. Yeah.
It's so amazing that
There we go. That's good. Hey, Charlie. I see you. How you doing? Maureen, hey, good morning. So as I was just sharing with Sister Amy, I'm just glancing, but I'm just letting you guys see what it is that I look at some days. It's just basic news. And so if you guys want, you can just, we can just scrounge around in here together. And I found out just recently that there are certain topics right now that they just updated that we cannot discuss, or it will not push any of my traffic anywhere, which is the reason why everything is sort of slow, because I didn't know. I was just, reading the highlights and telling you guys what was going on. But this is a hotbed topic right now that you can't talk about. Yep, can't talk about. Can't do it. You see that? Let me get it big. Big, big, big for you, baby. See that? Can't talk about that. That or the other people that are right there. Can't talk about this. Nope. Slow your way down. Slow your way down. So I was just here and I was looking at this story, and I found it a bit interesting. The protesters that are gathered in Berlin, this was a picture. So they're telling you where this picture comes from, not necessarily where the story is. But it talks about that topic right there. And it just tells you that now more than ever we dream of Isaiah's prophecy. They shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. One nation shall not rise, and the sword against another, nor shall they train for war again. I think that's that old, suffer war no more type thing. It says, for too long here in Europe, we've taken peace for granted. And the W word starts with the W, ends with an R. I love money for this. Starts with a W, ends with an R. Was the business of others, of distant peoples. We could forget about those starts with the W's, end with the RS. Since we were involved in them only by the cries of the people who fled from the places they were in. And I'll use that because you can see that word there. All right. We were perhaps insensitive to the pain of those. Those wars are still there. Syria, Yemen, Ethiopia, and many others. People still flee those places, just trying to make it. And I'm editing some of the words as I read. Like night and day, life sometimes changes suddenly. The night before, the starts with an R, ends with an N, went across the street. Crowds filled the streets and restaurants of those cities, of the city of the place they went across the street to. My. People tried not to think about the massing of Moscow's border. No one imagined that the drama would come within hours. Well, I think you guys all did, because I think these people are all a part of the same folks. I want to take a look at a place here, and I'm going to type this in. Right here. I want to look at this place. And I want to break this down. They said that they were. They not were. I'm even going to use Wikipedia. I'm going to use Wikipedia. I'm going to read it, but I'm going to first go over here. Let me see what this has to say. All right. This is what I want to look at. Yeah, this was updated March 7th, 2022. I'm going to start from the top of this. Okay. I'll go back over here and say, hey, Hal. Hey, Sandy Aaron. Okay. So let me come on up here. William Craig, you snuck in here on me too. I'm going to go back over to the other side. Y'all keep saying hey to people and hugging them for me. All right, I'm going to make this bigger because this is Khazaria.com, the American Center of Khazar Studies. All right. They've been online since May of 1995. That's what it says. And it looks like you guys can see it pretty well as far as the size is concerned. We're going to read this. And again, we're just looking at stuff. So it's not like I know what's here, because I don't. I'm just pulling it up because this is what I think we should be focusing. And this is what I think we should be looking at. Read about the Jews of Khazaria, the best general interest book about the Causars in English. You can order it. Order the improved 3rd edition. It was made in February the 8th. Ronnie hates the way I say February. I say February 2018 in hardcover format. Let's see. The Jews of Khazaria from Amazon.com, from Amazon.ca in Canada, UK, from Booktopia in Australia. You can also get the Kindle edition. And you have more ordering options here. Let's see what this says. A new candidate for Attil's location has emerged. It's Simbergeri, a large Khazar-era city that was discovered in 2019 by researchers from Astrakhan. Apologize if I said that incorrectly, and that's a place that you're from. Including Damir Solovyov. That's it, because you got to say the Lov. Solovyov. They continued to dig in the summer of 2020 and will resume digging in 2020. This person says, I added what we know so far about the Simbergeri's remains to their Attil page. Oh, okay. The genetics of the medieval Causars. As our new page, they say, summarizes the results obtained so far from the scientific teams around the world that have worked with genuine Khazar DNA and Saltovian DNA. The latest study was led by Tatiana Tartarinova of the University of Laverne. Aww. Is that the one in California? That's the one I wanted to go there before I ended up going to another school. I visited that campus if it's University of Laverne in California, but probably not. But that was a good memory. It's a great campus. And included Y-DNA and mtDNA and autosomal DNA. Tartanova's team concluded that the Khazars' DNA doesn't match the Ashkenazic Jews' DNA. They also confirmed, according to this author, that the Khazars include members with a combination of Caucasoid and Mongoloid origins. Both of these findings match statements in the 3rd edition of the Jews of Khazaria, which was written 2 years earlier. All but one of the bona fide Khazar studies shows significant Mongoloid ancestry from the original Turkic homeland in the southern Siberia and Central Asian. Okay, southern Siberia and Central Asia. I don't know what this is. This must be another language. And this person wrote this book. O Nakidok Sosuda S Graffiti v. Maripol. Oh, we know what that word is. By Edward Yee. Last name is Kravenchiko. Woo! Man, I am tearing these cats' names up. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. I apologize. And it was published in Russian with an English summary in the Journal of Archaeologics Almanac. Man, this is really terrible. Boy, I must be grating the nerves of those listeners. But anyway, it goes on to say that this article describes Khazar era artifacts found in the city of Mariupol in the southeastern Ukraine. They include 2 Arabic diorams, okay, that were used as pendants. Could you bring me the coffee pot, my friend? Thank you. Bring me the coffee pot, you wonderful human being. Thank you. It's generally kept in the kitchen. Thank you. All right, so it goes on to say that they include 2 Arabic diorams that were used as pendants, mirror fragments, and a pot. Oh, okay. And a pot. Oh, I think you're very good at this. I see you pouring that. There you are, my friend. There you are. Don't be stingy. There you go. Stop. You passed the cream line now, buddy. Thank you very much. You're awesome.
You stay right here.
No, you're good. You're good. I'll have a little cream. Thank you, my friend. All right, so they found a couple of artifacts is what they found. All right. They found a mirror fragments and a pot shown on the bottom of page 389 that bears 2 drawn symbols, a Jewish menorah and a plus sign that's interpreted as a Christian cross. The authors believe the potter was neither a Jew nor a Christian, but was a pagan who was familiar with these other religions that were practiced in Khazaria at the time. And the plus sign really not Tamga? A Tamga? Well, some other authors disagree with the hypothesis that the plus sign was Christian. In his article, Eduzium, I can't say the next word. It looks like Christostovus, I guess meaning Christian. Oh, here we go. Ha ha ha. This is what I want to read right there. Judaism, Christianity, Islam on archaeological data in Khazaria, volume 8, 2018 of the journal. Hey, coffee cream, buddy. Love you. Coffee cream. Of the journal, and I wish I had that in English, Pronosacom Bulgarskara, and it looks like archaeological. Pages 139 and 145. Valerie S. Florov agrees. Now, I know that name, and I think it's because it was her name or his name, whomever. This was a chick. Was in one of the other studies that I had read about. Anyway, it agrees that the artifacts currently unearthed. It depicts a unique image of the Jewish Khazarian menorah with the 7 candles above a rhombus. S. Bolshoi, Doli, whatever, with a high degree of probability, and this is listed on page 140. Having said that, Flyarov regards it as, get this, Jewishly inappropriate to find a menorah in a kitchen, and thus believes that the pot was made of neophyte. He also points out that the pot was found in a grave together with other artifacts, including a mirror, a copper chain, and 2 dirham coins originating from the 8th century Baghdad, and burials with objects typify paganism rather than standard Judaism. The rhombus within the menorah is also unusual and raises questions. So this person disagrees with the idea that the pot's small, clumsy, incise oblique cross with equal bars was inspired by Christianity. Okay. The medieval kingdom of Khazaria. This is a very important read. This is very important to understand what's really going on. It's important. 652 to 969. Over 1,000 years, the far east of Europe was ruled by Jewish kings who presided over numerous tribes, including their own tribe, the Turkic Khazars. After their conversion, the Khazar people used Jewish personal names, spoke and wrote in Hebrew, were circumcised, had synagogues and rabbis, studied the Torah and the Talmud. Let that sink in. And observed Hanukkah, Pesach, and the Sabbath. The Causars were an advanced civilization, one of the most tolerant societies of the medieval period. It hosted merchants from all over Asia and Europe. On these pages, it is hoped that you may learn about the fascinating culture. Now, one thing that I know about them from studying about them several years ago, and I haven't dusted off any of those memories because I just sort of pushed them back in my head. But as I stretch and digress at the same time, what I want to tell you is I know that they funded both sides of conflict. And I'll use that word instead of the one that starts with the W and ends with an R. And they funded both. So if you wanted to have something go down, you would go to them and they would fund your side. And then the cats that you was going in after, they would fund their side too. And then they would get back the money that they needed at the end, and they would make money on both ends. Sound familiar? Sips coffee. Does that sound familiar? Let me come back over here and see what y'all got to say. Vines Dresser Branch and Sarah Brown. Ain't nothing wrong with a little heavy whipping cream. Please pray. Just came home from work. Pollen is tearing me a new one. I got you, Sandy girl. I know how that is. There go L78 too. Sarah Brown. Morning, y'all. You got your coffee, sis? That's good. L78, what's going on? Ain't nothing new under the sun, right? Nothing. Steve, good morning. Good morning. All right, you guys, I'm going to go back to the other side and finish reading as I fumble through all of this. But it's okay. But here, I do want to take a little quick segue. And I want to say, yes, I understand who these people are completely. And I understand exactly as far as the geography of it all, who that is over there. And I think that it's very important for us to know this stuff. I don't know where my brother is. He's probably working. And let me see, I can check. Or he's probably resting from working. But I would love to bring him in on this conversation. And as I'm looking for him, I want to let you guys know to please go back to the community tab. There was thick overhang the other night when we had the, let me see if he's off work yet. Whoa, boy, he was on here at 4:01, which means he's probably sleeping. Let me see. Ronnie man. So here's the deal. There is the 13th month. Yes, it is. It is the 13th month. However, the Sabbath is literally on a Friday. So hold on. He's on the line. Let me see if he can come on. Hey, you sleep? You are? I'm live. You sleep? You don't want to come on? You sleep. I don't want to bug you. Oh, he just got off work. Got off work at 6. Because we're live right now, and I'm talking to Ronnie Man, ladies and gentlemen, live right here on. You want me to put you on speaker? Okay, I just sent you the link in case you want to come. Go on, get the link. Get that link, boy. Go on that email and get that link. Because I got Kazaria. We're talking about the medieval kingdom of Khazaria. And we know if you go to sleep, it's all good. But I'm also explaining the issue that we had with all of us trying to look at the moon. And even my grandbaby and you. And we had Rachel. We had everybody. All of us are looking. Everybody's looking, right? And so we missed it. But we did put it up on the community tab, y'all. Ronnie, I'm going to let you go. I'll see you in a second. And you go ahead and click and come on in. And so we're human. And we made the error, but we made sure we put it back in the community tab so you guys know that if y'all ask for days off for Saturday, don't do that. You need Friday. You need Friday. And we're sorry. But for those of you who are pretty good with looking at the sliver and you didn't have any overcast in your area, that means you already know that it's Friday anyway. right? Hey, fat sister, thank you for filling up my morning cup with laughter and learning. And mama, hey, Mama Reed, what's going on? So we know that for those of you guys who can see the moon where you were, that you got it right. Right? Charlie Sigler. Right? We know you guys got it right. And moreover, we had to, Ronnie actually pulled some information that came from overseas. And so they did see it there in the actual land, which is over there in Jerusalem, right? So they were able to see it. And yes, we definitely knew that we were going to have a 13th moon. We already knew that off rip. For those people who thought it would just be the 12th, no, we knew that it would be the 13th. We could see that much, but we could not see that sliver. All right. And you haven't seen the moon in a long time. Yeah. And so because this is the practice ground, I was like, we're not going to beat ourselves up. I'm not going to let Ronnie beat himself up. I'm not going to beat myself up. My grandbaby saw the very small sliver, but what he saw was not a teeny tiny sliver. He saw a sliver, but he saw that on, was it Friday or Saturday night? It was Saturday night. Okay. All right. From 2018 Jewish migration, you can. Thank you, girl. Thank you, baby. I'm gonna go check it. I just heard the chime in my ear too, so that must have been you. So now he'll be joining us, and he's gonna cover that. But until he does, let me go ahead and we're gonna finish talking about what Sandy just put up here. So that's what we're dealing with. So all of the that would not be apropos right now. Let me tell you why. Because Genghis Khan had a bit of problems with these people up here. Okay, and Genghis Khan went through there, and if you can imagine somebody with a belt going from right to left, right to left, right to left, and everything scattering. You turn on the light, the roaches scatter. They scattered. And so that's the reason why I'm really sort of laying back now, especially after reading that email this morning from, the tubes that said, hey, you know what? This conversation you can't have. I said, that's cool, because I'm good with it anyway. I already know what it is. I've been knowing this, and I'm sure all of you have. As you can see, Sandy put that up. I've known this for a minute. That's how I know who I was. That's how, back when I first found out about, everybody being scattered and who the Hebrews were and who they weren't and all this other stuff, and, found out about Japheth and all the stuff that he had going on, and ackalacka. That's why none of this stuff shocks me. But I wanted to show you this because, hey, look, did you hear that key word? Now I'm going back to the other side and I'm going to read. I lost 2 people just that quick. Mercy, baby, mercy. It's all good. Here. All right, so the introduction of the history of Khazaria. Essay summarizing the history of the Causars, their principal cities, their culture, their conversion to Judaism. What? In the 9th century. Now, remember I talked about the 9th century the other day? I kept saying to understand these people and this division and this fight and this argument and all this, we need to go to the 9th century. You may or may not. I'm on every other platform. I'm about to taper some of these platforms down too. And I really didn't want to, but that's part of why I ran. I had too many things going on at once. And I already know that those who watch after me, which is the Steve Willises of the world who watches after me, the Sandy Aarons who watches after me, the Amy Duran's that watch after me, the Sarah Browns that look out for me, that watches after me, and the Ronnie Man, all y'all that look out for me, that get on me, and the, Rachel Van Ziels that say, hey, get it together. Take some time. I know all of you who look after me, y'all are trying to figure out where I'm going. So I'm about to cut some of these channels off, and I'm about to just narrow it down. This one is attached to the other one, and so they have to stay. So they have to be together because they're part of one now. So more than likely all the other ancillary channels are going to go, and everything I have to say is going to have to come through one of those 2 channels. Why? Because your girl is tired. With that said, on one of those publications, I did mention the 9th century, dealing with both of those 2 countries that we are now looking at as 2, which was literally one big jumble with 2 brothers divided. Yeah, we can say that. So this goes into the introduction of the history of Khazaria. Man, I wonder if they have Genghis Khan in here. Oh, they've got a Khazaria image gallery, just like a regular kid, like to look at the shiny stuff. So while we wait for Ronnie Mann to come in, let me go over here and click this. All right, the introduction to the history of Khazaria by Kevin Allen Brooke. The copyright is 1996 to 2014, and we are going to read it. Ronnie Mann, good morning. We're reading this, an introduction to the history of Khazaria. That's what we're reading this morning. How you doing? How's everything going there, Ronnie Mann? You sleepy, huh? Okay, you can sit over there and chill for a minute. And while you are chilling, we are going to read. You've got yourself muted, which is, you probably ran over there to do something. Anyway, here you go, you guys. Of all of the astonishing experiences of the widely dispersed Jewish people, none was more extraordinary than that concerning the Causars. This comes from Nathan Asubel, a pictorial in the Pictorial History of the Jewish People of 1953. That was his quote. Quote, the book says, the Khazar people were an unusual phenomenon for medieval times. Surrounded by savage and nomadic tribes, they had all the advantages of the developed countries, structured governments, vast and prosperous trading, and a permanent army. At the time, when great fanaticism and deep ignorance contested their dominion over Western Europe, the Khazar state was famous for its justice and tolerance. People persecuted for their faiths flocked to Khazaria from everywhere. As a glistening star, it shone brightly on the gloomy horizon of Europe and faded away without leaving any traces of existence. Though the Jews were everywhere a subject to people and in much of the world persecuted as well, Kazaria was the one place in the medieval world that the Jews actually were their own masters. Boy. To the oppressed Jews of the world, the Khazars were a source of pride and hope, for their existence seemed to prove that God had not completely abandoned his people. And this comes from Raymond Schindlin in Chronicles of the Jewish People of 1996. So do you already see the slant that it's given it? Because, yeah, I'm just going to keep on reading. The history of Khazaria presents us with a fascinating example of how Jewish life flourished in the Middle Ages. In a time where Jews were persecuted throughout Christian Europe, the kingdom of Khazaria was a beacon of hope. Jews were able to flourish in Khazaria because of the tolerance. I want you to notice something. I want you to notice how people will tell on themselves. Okay? I want you to notice how people will tell on themselves with everything they say. Okay? With everything they say. The key words would be tolerance. Another key word for me that stands out. What stands out for you guys? Alan Davis, you snuck in here, and Marty Lauderdale too. Love you guys. Hey. So the key word that sticks out for me is tolerance. Another key word that sticks out for me is the Talmud. Has nothing to do with Hebrew. Nothing. Okay? Nothing. They tell on themselves all the time. Wow. All right. So it says that we'll just start back here at this period. In a time when Jews were persecuted throughout Christian Europe, the kingdom of Khazaria was a beacon of hope. Jews were able to flourish in Khazaria because of the tolerance of Khazars rulers, who invited the Byzantine and the Persian Jewish refugees to settle in their country due to the influence of these refugees. The Khazars found the Jewish religion to be appealing and adopted Judaism in large numbers. Let that sit in. Let that sink in. Hey, Leaf Desi. Okay? Most of the available information about the Khazars comes from Arabic, Hebrew, Armenian, Byzantine, and Slavic sources. Most of which are reliable, they say. Most of which are reliable. It's not, none of this is reliable, but again, I digress. There is a large quantity of archaeological evidence concerning the Khazars that illuminates people's multiple aspects of the Khazarian economy, arts and crafts, trade, agriculture, fishing, as well as their burial practices. Origins. The Khazars were a Turkic people who originated in Central Asia. Ronnie, you got anything to add to this before I go on?
Well, do you see why I say that they are
Uh huh.
Japhethites?
Yep, I
They're
sure do.
absolutely Japhethites. So the what's interesting is that the well, I mean, you're saying it all. You are saying it all. So, I mean, how they have converted. So this is why they call themselves Ashkenazi Jews.
Mm-hmm. But do you see in the very beginning what they tried to do was back out of the Ashkenazi part, talking about, oh, we saw no DNA from Ashkenazi at all. No DNA from Ashkenazi, but rather Mongoloid and Caucasoid. So they're trying to. You can't make some of this stuff up. And it's all propaganda because every book that's bound is bound by one of their hands. So there you have that. Sarah Brown says the names were most telling. Johanna, Enoch, not what you typically expect of Native American names, as she's reading here. The genealogy is interesting, very, very interesting. Finding out my Native American ancestors weren't as native to North America as most believe. Very interesting to me. And you know what? That puts it all in perspective because a lot of times when you see different parts of genealogy from different regions and different places, people move. You got immigration with an E and an immigration with an I. People move around. And this right here with the Causars, this is something else. I just love the way Marty Lauderdale says, good morning, Ronnie man. Okay, so Ronnie has this up on the screen right here. And you want to go ahead. Can you blow it up? I'm going to take us off so we can make it big. There. Yeah. There you go, Ronnie.
Okay, so if you're looking at the screen, you said blow
She
it up.
and Marty says your volume may be a bit low. Can you man your volume up some? Oh, that's beautiful. Can you pull your volume up, Ronnie?
No, I'm
I
sorry.
turned my elevator music down some.
I'm sorry.
That's good. I think you're louder now. Is how is he now, Marty? Say
Well,
countdown
I'm
three, two,
being
one.
deliberate. I wasn't able to turn it up. I actually had some issues. My system rebooted while I was asleep. So
Well, Charlie says you're fine now,
okay,
and
good.
so does Marty. She gave you the thumbs up
So I
too.
blew this up or what have you. This picture of the ancient Khazarian Empire.
Uh huh.
I want you to definitely look. I was trying to find one superimposed as far as the modern day map, but
Okay.
if you can make the connections, I want you to pay attention. Where is this Khazarian Empire? This is exactly the geographical equivalent of modern day Ukraine.
Yep. 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 Yep.
This is exactly the modern day equivalent of modern day Ukraine. This is the Khazarian Empire. It's very interesting. You see Kiev, or what they call Kiev, right there.
Mm-hmm.
See the
I still
Crimea.
call it. Kia.
Yeah, that's Kiev. But nonetheless, this is why we have all of these Germanic influences in the modern day Hebrew language with the V's and the even the J's or what have you. It's because these were converts who spoke a Germanic mother language, and when they resurrected the Hebrew language, they incorporated their mother tongue as well. So there's a lot of residue as far as Germanic influences in the modern Hebrew. Why? Because once again, I'm going to use the word. They were converts. They were all converts, and
Yeah, they
they're,
found it
they're
appealing. It says they
they're from
found it appealing.
Ashkenaz. They're from Ashkenaz. So this is the thing. They are authentic, quote quote unquote Jews in the sense that they're converts.
Correct.
But and because if you convert to something, then you're authentic. It's just like cleaving to Yasharal or what have you. You know what I mean? You cleave to Yasharal as another nation, and then you get absorbed and you actually become Yasharal. The difference here is that, well, you pinpointed it. I just want to highlight they're Talmudic in nature versus, the word of Yah in nature, and this is extremely vital. This is the line in the sand.
That's clutch.
So let me see here. I'm gonna pull up this as well. But yeah, just to give you a visual as far as who the Khazarian empire is, or what have you, on a map or what have you.
Valiant one said converts. Separated the two. Separated the one and the two. Hey, Valiant one. Converts. That's a group. Yeah, that was a group. Came out in 1945, 1947. What year was that? What year was that group formed? 1940 what? Oh wow, that's a nice blown up picture, Ronnie man.
Yeah, so you can see all the influences in that blurb that you were reading. You see Persia right there on the southwestern quadrant. Hungary is over there on the east. The Byzantine Empire is right below it.
I see that right below the Black Sea.
Exactly. So and you can see the Caucasus Mountain range is literally running right through it. So all these Armenians, and then look, where's the capital of Rome?
I'm looking
at this time. It's Constantinople.
Constantinople, right there. I see it.
Yeah,
wow.
These are the Turks. These are the Turks. At large or what have you. Which is Japheth. And
yes.
How can you be Shamatic? Listen to the terminology I'm choosing, because I
don't need no trouble. These people is tripping. That email I got this morning.
You have Ham. I'll just be very
and ham used to be so delicious when you put cloves in it, and ham used to be really delicious. I know ham. Go ahead, talk about ham with cloves. And what else you put with ham? Potato salad. Okay, go ahead.
Ham has a brother Jeffrey. Yeah.
Oh yes, and they would have them all come over and eat at the same time.
Japheth, that's where we get the word Jafar.
Good old Jafar.
So and then you have Sham. It's where we actually get the root word. That's the root word of shaman.
Oh, is that the reason why Michael Jackson used to have to go Shaman? Because he worked for them all the time. Shaman. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, it's early. I'm on my second cup. Hit it, Ronnie man.
But yeah, so you see the influences all around. I just wanted to give you a visual. But yeah, we're definitely dealing with.
This is who we're dealing with right here,
and ancient Khazaria right now.
Yep.
So Big Brother, as far as current events is going, Big Brother's trying to absorb, ancient Khazaria.
So he was the older brother. He was the bigger brother.
Well, they're all exactly.
But at one point, this cat right here that's on the screen,
two balls. Two ball. You have Meshach.
Okay. Hey, disciple of the Messiah. Good morning, dear sister. Always good to see you. Good morning to you, everybody. Good morning. Yes, and I'm about to get to that third cup, Marty. You ain't joking. You ain't joking. I'm working on it. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go hee hee, but in another octave on that third cup. So I just found it very. Go
but they
ahead.
have Persian influence. You know,
That's what I was about to say. Go ahead. Yeah.
well, they have the Persian influence, and you have to be a detective etymologically. Persia. That's where Persian, the ancient P and the F, ancient P and the
Dun, dun,
F
dun, 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 dun,
is one and the same.
dun, 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 dun. I'm giving you your
So,
background music. You said
oh,
you gotta be a detective. So I gave you
yes.
the Inspector Gadget
So
music.
so
So we
so
could throw
so
up this algo. Throw off the
did you hear
algo.
that? The
Yeah, I
P
heard
and the
you.
F. No, well, I think the algo's gone. You know, as far as any keywords, but the P and the F is similar. It's not part of me. It's not similar. It's the same thing anciently. The P and the F. So you have this is why it's Persia, right? Persia. This is and what is their mother tongue? What is their language? Farsi.
Yes, they all speak Farsi. Correct.
Farsi, because the P and the F are one and the same. They derive from the same, letter or what have you. It's the Fe. They call it the Pei, but it's the Fe. So it's Farsi. This is the same. This is the root word from the word Pharisee. It's the same word from the word Pharisee. So all these Pharisees, when you look in the New Testament, the Pharisees were the overlords from the Persian captivity. When they were in the Assyrian captivity, it was Persia, and the Persians came along to watch over the people when they went back, when Cyrus decreed that they can go back to the land and build the temple or what have you. So yeah, the Persian overlords went with them, and we see the residue. They're called the Pharisees in the New Testament. These are the Persian overlords that went, and they were Talmudic then.
Uh-huh. It's all that telltale sign. It's a
So
that's
Persian,
the telltale sign. That's the what is it called? The tip off? That's the tip off.
yeah. So but that's an interesting breakdown. Everybody wonders who the Pharisees are. Oh, they were a religious sect. But when you look at the etymology, you can see exactly from where they derived. They came over. That's why this is why they were the most influential sect, is
Mm-hmm.
because they were the ruling class. They were
Mm-hmm.
the Persians, Persian Pharisee. Same as that word. Same
Yep.
as that
Hey
word.
Rex Remedy. Yep, that's
Quite
exactly
interesting.
right.
That should be a light bulb moment. That should be
Yeah.
wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it definitely should. And then, like at the very beginning of the book that I was just reading from, let me put that back on the screen right quick. Don't take your slide away. Keep your slide up. Farsi, yes, disciple of the Messiah, exactly. Um,
Hey,
and if
side note, this is where we get the word farce.
huh. Okay. A farce. Yes. So, when we get to reading here, how it talks about the origins, in the very beginning, what amazed me was the fact that they immediately removed what we thought we would need to substantiate what we've been saying about the Ashkenaz, which is amazing because even though you may remove that from the conversation, as they did at the beginning of this book that I'm reading from right here, everything else takes you right back to Coda. You go right back to the beginning. You cannot not be them and be this, because this is that and this is them. With that said, here's what you were just talking about. So let's go to the origins again. For those who are pulling up, we're gonna go ahead and start from the origins. The Khazars were a Turkic people, and we just got through seeing what Ronnie put up on the screen. This is absolutely correct. The people who originated, they say people who originated in Central Asia. Now remember, when you consider the term Asia from a Westerner standpoint, when we went into Southeast Asia in 1990, 1991, 92, in that time frame, that was Southeast Asia. This is Central Asia, okay? Originated in Central Asia. So keep your mind there. The central, Central Asia, Southeast Asia, all of that stuff, and think about the main religions, think about the verbiage, think about the language, think about how they're all so closely together, think about all of that, okay? Because to me, when you start doing Central, Northern, Eastern, Western, it's all one in my mind. Even when you say, what do they call it? Middle East? Where's Upper East? Where's Middle East? East of what? So you got to remember that all of the divisiveness and the lines are brought to make extra confusion. Yeah, there are people who, man one area and who got the other area, but this right here should tell us something. So it goes on to say that the early Turkic tribes were quite diverse. Now, diversity is another word. You got to, I know when we think about things repeating themselves and history repeating itself, one thing my friend Dr. B brought up, and he says, well, history doesn't repeat itself. It's not the exact same people. He had a good point. But what we mean when we say that history repeats itself is it's the same players, it's the same cats using the same tactics in the same way. Good morning, Black Spring with Autumn. Welcome. So it's the same cats doing the same thing, using the same tactics. No, the people may not be the same, unless, of course, you're considering the heads, which I make the comment all the time. When are they leaving? I mean, you got the queen been around here for what, 70-something years? She been here before when my mama and papa was here and come and gone. But my point is, it repeats itself, and that the tactics work once, they're betting on it working again. And if it doesn't, their plan B is always one that they've taught themselves to fall back on. They can go from plan A to plan Z with no problems at all. Esma Darlington, great to see you. They do always have the exact same playbook. The exact same playbook. So when we go on here, it says the early Turkic tribes were quite diverse. That word is important, although it is believed that reddish hair was prominent among them prior to the Mongol conquest. Now, red hair in that area is telling. They got caves over there with folks with red hair. I'm going to leave that right there. And them folks is huge folks, but they got red hair. All right. So reddish hair was prominent among them prior to the Mongol conquest. In the beginning, the Khazars believed in Tengra. Hey, son, I'm live. You have to be quiet or go with your mama. In Turkey, shamanism. They spoke a Turkic language and were nomadic. Later, the Khazars adopted. Listen to this, because I need you to get this, because this is everything I've always said. Later, the Khazars adopted, boom, Judaism, bim, Islam, bim, Christianity. Okay, let me take you back and remind you what I said. If you follow them, all roads lead back to Rome. I've said that. And they all attach themselves to the Abrahamic seed. This is what they have attempted to infiltrate. So the Abrahamic seed is what they're attempting. Why? Because it takes you right back to the Most High. It takes you back to the Most High. If you get a hold of the Most High and the promise that he gave to Abraham, you got all of them. So what do? They got Judaism, which we know that's their term, but we do understand where the origin for them comes from. You've got Islam, and I told you that if you follow Islam, I even reminded you guys of the beads. So I'm going to tie it all together for you. You've got Judaism, Islam, Christianity. I said all roads lead back to Rome. I reminded you that if you look at each one of the belief systems, and I've done this over time, that if you look at each one of the belief systems, you will find that they all have a part of what? Rome, Catholicism in them. Islam has the beads. Who else has the beads? Catholics. Christianity has Christianity also has what we would consider an idol, what we would consider something that we would hold close to God, and that's that cross. Okay? All right? You have to look at these things, and as much as we love them, if you came from Islam, if you came from Judaism, if you came from Christianity, you held those things very dear to your heart. This may offend some, but in order for you to be free, you got to get offended. You got to get offended. Okay? So Khazars adopted Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. Why? Because up under the origins, in the second sentence, they told you why. Because of diversity. You see, they had to be diverse. So they had to be lovers of everybody. Why? Because just like Paul said, I've learned that in order for me to get anybody, I have to win some. So I have to become, in order for me to win some, I got to become like them. So he had to use diversity. They used diversity here. Okay? The Khazars adopted Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. They learned Hebrew and Slavic and became settled in cities and towns throughout the North Caucasus and Ukraine. The Khazars had a great history of ethnic independence. Everybody stand up, be proud of who you are. Extending approximately 800 years from the 5th to the 13th century. The earliest history of the Khazars in southern Russia prior to the middle of the 6th century is hidden in obscurity. From about 550, they say, to 630. The Khazars were a part of the Western Turkish Empire, ruled by the Celestial Blue Turks. You see that? The Celestial Blue Turks. Now look right here. Coke Turks. Coke. How do you pronounce that with the O with the 2 dots above it, Ronnie, man?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay, the Coke Turks. Now, who heard of the Coke? There's some Coke brothers hanging around, right? Weren't there? Yeah? Were they rich? Or were they poor? Ha. Were they able to do anything they wanted to because of how much money they got? Anyway, moving right along. When the Western Turkish Empire was broken up as a result of the civil wars in the middle of the 7th century, the Khazars successfully asserted their independence. Yet the Khaganate under which they had lived, provided the Khazars with their system of government. For example, the Khazars followed the same guidelines as the Coke Turks regarding the succession of kings. Political power is the next heading. You want to add anything, Ronnie, before we get into the next paragraph?
No, you're doing great.
Okay, so the political power at its maximum extent, the independent country of Khazaria included the geographical region of southern Russia, northern Caucasus, eastern Ukraine, Crimea, western Kazakhstan, and hold on just a second, you guys. Saul, I'm working. Come and get your child. He's making far too much noise and he's distracting me. Okay. They're packing to go back to Georgia. All right. So anyway, the Ukraine, Crimea, western Kazakhstan, and northwestern Uzbekistan. Other Turkic groups such as the Sabers. Is that Sibir, like Siberia? Am I pronouncing that? I think so. And the Bulgars came under Khazar jurisdiction during the 7th century. Now we're easing up to that century that I was talking to you guys about, which left 2, which was 1, which was fighting. Okay? During the 7th century, the Khazars forced some of the Bulgars, led by Asparukh, to move to modern-day Bulgaria, while the Bulgars fled to the upper Volga river region, where the independent state of Volga, Bulgaria was founded. The Khazars had their greatest power over the tribes in the 9th century, controlling Eastern Slavs, Magyars, Pechenegs, Burtas, North Caucasian Huns, and other tribes, and demanding tribute from them. Tribute means what, Ronnie, man? They need to have what from them?
They need that money up.
They need that money about you. And what did we just say earlier at the top of this? That they funded both sides of conflict. We're going to use that term, but we know that it starts with a W and ends with an R. Okay, so because of their jurisdiction over the area, the Caspian Sea was named the Khazar Sea. And even today, the Azeri, Turkish, Persian, and the Arabic languages designate the Caspian by this term. In Turkish, quote, Hazar Denizi. In Arabic, Buhar ul Khazar. In Persian, Daryeyi Khazar. You can't do nothing without these cats. These cats. All roads lead to Rome. Why, Felicia? Because they sort of wear the same little beanie on the top of their heads. Yeah, so the Pope has the beanie. We started out looking this morning at the Vatican. That's what we started. That's one of the first pages that we were on, their actual news feed, right? They all got the little beanies. So, of course, they want to see peace in that little area. Of course they do. Okay, so in addition to their role in indirectly bringing about the creation of the modern Balkan nation of Bulgaria, the Causars played an even more significant role in European affairs. Sure they do. That's the reason why the movie that you're watching right now is so well played out. You're watching a movie. Please don't believe the hype. By acting as a buffer between the buffer state between the Islamic world and the Christian world, Khazaria prevented Islam from significantly spreading north of the Caucasus Mountains. Why? Because they didn't need it to go north of the Caucasus Mountains. In that way, they kept control. Okay? They had to have the control. All right? So they did not want it to go beyond the Caucasus Mountains. This was accomplished through a series of wars known as the Arab-Khazar Wars, which took place in the late 7th and the early 8th centuries. The wars established the Caucasus and the city of Derbent as the boundary between the Khazars and the Arabs. We control you, but we just need to build a line. We just need to have a line drawn in the sand. Well, we still got control over you. Okay? Cities. The first Khazar capital was Banlanjar, which is identified with the archaeological site of Verkhny Shuryut during the 720s. The Khazars transferred their capital to Samandar, a coastal town in the North Caucasus. I'm saying this way because those who've taken the courses and talked with us and listened to some of the messages and the teachings that Ronnie Mann and I presented, what did he share? They are the Isle nations. Japheth. It's taking you right back to Japheth, the coastal town in the North Caucasus, noted for its beautiful gardens and vineyards. And in 750, the capital was moved to the city of Atil, on the edge of the Volga River. In fact, the name Atil is also designated the Volga River in the medieval age. Atil would remain the Khazar capital for at least another 200 years, and Atil, the administrative center of the Khazar kingdom, was located adjacent to Khazarian, a major trading center. Traits. You got to look at some traits here. Adaya, good morning. Okay, you've got to look at a few traits. Let me give you a trait. If you have a nation that is a trading nation, that takes you to what? You got to have water in order for you to have a major trading center. In order for you to be a major trading center, you got to be located near some water. Let that sink in. Why? Why do I say that? Because the nations around the world looked at her afar off over the oceans and saw her just plummeting as Babylon fell. So it is a system that spans nations, but this here teaches you that it's bottled water. So how will you know them? You'll know them based upon their fruit, irregardless of what they try to call themselves. You're going to look at their fruit. You're going to look at the location. You're going to understand that they handle and control anything that you see by that water, for the most part. All right, now I'm not going to get on the dragon yet, because the dragon has made sure that it has positioned itself all around in every port they can, especially with their Belt and Road Initiative. Okay, Wolf, good morning. All right? All right? So we got to understand that. We got to look at that. We got to know what this is whenever we see it. Now, they can change their names. They can change the places that they come from. They can do all of that. They can do all of that. But what they can't do is change their tactics. They cannot change where they hang out. Okay? All right? They cannot. But what they can do is they can mix themselves up a little bit. But you look at them traits, you ain't going to miss them. You ain't going to miss them. Not at all. All right, so let's go ahead and continue. So now it goes on to say that, and I'm going to go back up just here. Yeah, let me go here. I'm going to go right here. 200 years until the administrative center of the Khazar kingdom was located adjacent to Khazaria, a major trading center. In the early 10th century, Khazaria and Attil's population was composed mostly of Muslims and Jews, but a few Christians. Why? Because that's all Abraham's seed. So who would benefit from putting their hand on every one of Abraham's seed? But one of Abraham's seeds. Okay. So Muslims, Jews, and a few Christians. Now everybody, here's what I want everybody to do. Take a second and take your pocketbook and shake it out and empty it out. Empty it out. Because in order for you to get this, to really get this, you're going to have to shake out your bag. Whatever you came in here with, bag lady, bag man, take your bag and pull out your stuff. Because I'm about to fill it up with some information. And you're going to need to have an empty bag in order to carry it. You may want to get your mom in there to hold the stuff that you pulled out your bag in case you need it or something. I don't know what might be in it. But baby, you need to empty your bag. Because this is going to trip you out. Here's where I'm going. The Muslims, they said of Muslims, mostly of Muslims, mostly of Muslims, mostly of Muslims, who is the fastest growing religion in the world today. Okay, now for those of you who've been following my channel, y'all already know where I used to hang out. You already know. Ain't never been no secrets. Go back and look at some old bijos. And Jews. Didn't hang out with them that much, but I did, infiltrate a little bit to see what they were about. I infiltrated everywhere until I got the truth. Even when I was a Christian and thought I had arisen. I didn't arrive. That was lost too. So if you's a Christian and you's a Muslim or you's a Jew, you're still lost because you don't know who the great I am is at that point. Because why? You're still involved in a division. Now somebody might click off, but baby, don't click off yet. Follow me. So it goes on to say the Khazarians' Attil population was composed mostly of Muslims and Jews, but a few Christians lived there also. The capital city had many mosques. How many mosques were erected in the United States over the last 10 years? I'll hold. Was it 2? Was it 3? Was it 1? Do you got one in your small town now? Okay, let's go. All right, let's go. The king's palace was also located on an island nearby. Now, who got a place that's just his own country? It's the Vatican is its own country. They ain't hanging out with the publicans. They ain't here hanging out with the citizens. They ain't hanging out with nobody. They got their own country. The Vatican is its own country with its own gate, with its own guards, with its own everything. Looking way up, from way up high, looking way down low, looking to see everything that they can see. They ain't changed. They ain't changed. You can figure out who they are because they ain't changed. So in this case, you can look at the Catholicism as being the head of everything. Why? Because they still have control over Muslims. Remember the beads that I said whenever you do rosary in Catholicism. Those of you who was lost in that, okay? Don't be looking down at people because they was Muslims. Don't be looking down at people because they was Christians. Don't be looking down at people because they was Jews. Because if you had them beads, baby, you was right there with what the Muslims was doing. They got beads that they pray over. All right? So they're the head of the Muslims, of the Jews, and of a few Christians that lived there also. The capital city had many mosques. The king's palace was located on a nearby island, which was surrounded by a brick wall. The Khazars stayed in their capital during the winter, okay? But they lived in the surrounding steppe in the spring and summer to cultivate their crops. Sound like a whole lot of traits. Gets real cold in China, but they got a whole lot of land out here growing fruits and vegetables that they export back over yonder. Yeah, they do. They do. Sounds like a whole lot of shaking going on. The great capital of the modern Ukraine, Kiev, was founded by Khazars, or they say Hungarians. Kiev is a Turkic place name. Q riverbank, Ev settlement. Q. You see that? Those two dots over that? That U? Q. Q. Ev. Kiev. 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 It's not Kiev. It's Kiev. Riverbank settlement. Water. A community of the Jewish Khazars lived in Kiev. Other towns of the Khazars, many of which had also had important Jewish communities, of course they did, included Kirk Bospor, Fedosia, Tamartaka, Temutor Rokan, Shafutkel, Sudak, and Sakel. The local government of Samandar was Jewish, and it may be assumed that many of the governors of these other localities were also Jewish. A major brick fortress was built in 834 in Sarkel along the Don River. It was a cooperative Byzantine Khazar venture, and Petronas, which we know what Petro is, we know who Petrov is, okay, Petronas, Komoteros, and Greek. What? Sips coffee slow. What? You guys remember this is Fefe's Jazz and Coffee. Coffee and Jazz. Hope you got your coffee. We had turned jazz off so we can hear Big Brother, but hope you got your coffee. I ain't made 3 yet, Marty. Okay? So Greek served as chief engineer during the construction. Now it goes on with civilization and trade. You may not know everything about them, but if you see these traits, then you know who you are dealing with. If you don't see these traits, dig a little deeper until you do. To understand history, you've got to go back a little further, and you've got to know what you're looking at. So civilization and trade. The staple foods for the Khazars were rice and fish. Barley, wheat, melon, hemps, and cucumbers were also... Say that. Oh, barley, wheat, barley, wheat, melons, hemp, and cucumbers were also harvested in Khazaria. There were many orchards and fertile regions around the Volga River, which the Khazars depended upon due to the infrequency of rain. The Khazars hunted foxes, rabbits, and beavers to supply the large demand for furs. Why would you need a large demand for furs? Why would you need a large demand for fur? And why would you need to come out of a certain area when it's cold? Why come you can't come outside? What area could that be? What area would that be? If you're cold and you go and hide and hibernate, and then when it's time you come out and go to another region to get your food, sounds a lot like who? Sound like China. China gets very cold. Russia gets very cold. Poland gets very cold. Turkey gets very cold. All right. So it says the Khazars hunted fox, rabbits, and beavers to supply for the large supply, a demand for furs. Khazaria was an important trade route. She's a trading place. And anywhere you have trade, anywhere you have ships, anywhere you have a port city, you have an abundance of diversity, you have an abundance of understanding of receiving other people and accepting them for who they are, simply because you are a trading place and you don't want to cut off your money. So you're going to be very diverse and taking everything and everybody in, as the Causars did. Why? Because They may be different, but their money look the same. So port cities are generally going to be very corrupt. Corinth. Let's read. Khazaria was an important trade route connecting Asia and Europe. For example, the Silk Road was an important link between China, Central Asia, and Europe. And let me ask a question. Does anybody remember? You may not win nothing because I ain't got no more books to give away. Okay? But does anybody remember where the Black Death was alleged to have traveled along? For example, the Silk Road was an important link between China, Central Asia, and Europe, among other things. Okay? Among other things. Traded along the Khazar trade routes were silks, furs, candle wax, honey, jewelry, silverware, coins, and spices.
If you go to Revelation 18, you can see these very same things that are traded. And
Say it.
This is what falls in the last
Say it. Say it. Say it. Say it. Say it. I got something else for you guys, and I'm going to let you know. This ain't that yet. It's setting up the playground. I'm going to pause right here, and I'm going to tell you, this ain't that yet, but it's definitely setting up the playground. It's setting up the playground good. You know why? Because they're allowing you to believe that X, Y, is Z, and they're going to shuffle it around, like I said the other day about the chessboard. They're going to move the rook, then they're going to move the bishop, then they're going to move the king. He can move all over the place. Because why? See, the king get to doing his little James Brown slide all over the board, making everybody think, oh, I'm feared. But baby, when mama girl come off that back row, when that queen come off that back row, oh, you know the party is up. You know the party is up. Why? The king can do the electric slide all over the board. Okay, it don't matter which direction he go. It don't matter which direction the rook go. It don't matter which direction all the pawns go. Please believe it don't matter. The pawns can go anywhere they want to go. They can be malleable and manipulated to go anywhere the queen says. Anywhere the queen tells them to go. They can move all over the place, baby. So right now what you're seeing is stuff being set up, things being broken down, things being separated. And all of them are all together, lovely, in the party together. Yes, this is nothing more than the court gesture, cracking jokes at your expense and mine. We have 7.9% inflation right now, today, in this alleged great nation. And can't nobody do nothing? We're sitting on more oil than we need. Literally up under your feet if you're in the South especially. Anywhere in the United States, you're sitting upon a whole lot of oil. Sitting on a whole lot. And you paying $5 and $6, some places $7 a gallon. Great show. I'm going to go ahead on and push it on out. Let me go ahead on. Can I push it out? Can I call it out? Can I call it out? Yeah, I can call it out. Y'all remember James Brown. Don't sit there acting like y'all ain't never clapped to James Brown. I'm going to break it on down. I'm going to do my thing. It says, Jewish Randahite traders of Persia passed through Atel on their way to Western Europe, China, and other locations. The Iranian Sogdians also made use of the Silk Road trade, and their language and runic letters became popular among the Turks. Khazars traded with the people of Khwarazm, which is northwest Uzbekistan, and Volga, Bulgaria, and also with port cities in Azerbaijan and Persia. Khazars' dual monarchy was a Turkic system under which the Kagan was the supreme king and the Bek was the civilian army leader. Now here's we're getting into where I was teaching you guys, talking to you guys about both sides of issues. The Kagans were a part of the Turkic Arsana ruling family, that had provided Khagans for other Central Asian nations in the early medieval period. Remember what we said earlier. They had a banging army. Their army was on point. Okay? All right? Probably didn't feed them for days. And when they let them out, they let them go. Who let the dogs out? Ooh. Okay. The Khazars, Khagans had relations with the rulers of the Byzantines, the Abkhazans, the Hungarians, and the Armenians. To some extent, the Khazarian kings influenced the religion of the Khazar people, but they tolerated those who had different religions than their own. So that even when these kings adopted Judaism, they still let Greek Christians, pagan Slavs, and Muslim Iranians live in their domains. In the capital city, the Khazars established a supreme court composed of 7 members. And every religion was represented on this judicial panel. Can anybody say ecumenicalism? According to one contemporary Arab chronicle, the Causars were judged according to the Torah, while other tribes were judged according to other laws. Really? Can't see them stepping away from the Talmud, but anyway, I digress. Ancient communities of Jews existed in the Crimean Peninsula, a fact proven by much archaeological evidence. It is significant that the Crimea came under the control of the Causars. The Crimean Jewish communities were later supplemented by refugee Jews fleeing the Mazdik rebellion in Persia. The persecutions of the Byzantine emperors Leo III and Romanus Leprechaunus Lecanopus. Okay? You heard what I said, though.
That's right.
You heard what I said, though. And for a variety of other reasons, Jews came to Khazaria from modern-day Uzbekistan, Armenia, Hungary, Syria, Turkey, Iraq, and many other places, as documented by Al-Mazudi and the Secher letter, Sadaya Gaon, and other accounts. The Arabic writer Damansky wrote that these refugee Jews offered their religion to the Khazar Turks and that the Khazars found, quote, found it better than their own and accepted it. Now let me ask you something. Let me just keep going. The Jewish Ranadite traders may have also influenced the conversion. Adopting Judaism was perhaps also a symbol of political independence for Khazaria, holding the balanced power between the Muslim Caliphate and Christian Byzantine Empire. Y'all, let that go. Quit being hooked up on color, complexion. I done told you guys already, there is only one race that's human and everybody knows this. However, you don't understand what the term racism really means and when it was actually created. Look up who was the first cat who brought that word upon the scene. It wasn't as long ago as you think. And it was brought for such a time as this. Because the race that's being created is one that is attempting to replace the human race. We have ethnicities. So don't trip on the color. Only understand that Yah is, and that it's all about Yah, period. That's all it's about is Yah. You need to know Him. Yahweh Shah, as some say Jesus, those are two different people. You need to know that. If you understand that verbiage that we talked about about a couple of months ago, when you were talking about why do you call me good? Yahweh Shah was saying, why you call me good? Because there was another cat at the time that was named Jesus. That was the good dude. Y'all better look. But he had garland all over his head, and he was a pagan. Bacchus. That's right. He was Bacchus. Good Bacchus. But it was good, right? It was good. Bacchus was the good dude, right? Yeah. So let's get it. Let's get it. Because it says, holding balance of power between the Muslim Caliphate and the Christian Byzantine Empire under the leadership of Kings Bulan and Obadiah, the standard rabbinical form of the Jewish religion spread among the Khazars. King Bulan adopted Judaism approximately the year of 838, after supposedly holding a debate between representatives of the Jewish, Christian, and Muslim faiths. The Khazar nobility and many of the common people also became Jews. King Obadiah later established synagogues and Jewish schools in Khazaria, the books of the Mishnah, the Talmud. You don't even have to say Torah after that. You can just stick right there. You don't even need Mishnah. You don't even need Mishnah. You don't need Mishnah. You don't need the Torah. Just focus on the fact that these cats embraced what? Okay. Thus became important to many Khazars. Saint Cyril came to Khazaria in 860 in a Byzantine attempt to convert Khazars to Christianity. But he was unsuccessful in converting them away from Judaism. Why? Because, let me just shut up. Let me just go. Because he knew. They knew that it was all good. We got this. He did, however, convince many of the Slavs to adopt Christianity. Now, when you look at Farsi people are, a lot of people who speak Farsi, they're actually Christians. Did you guys know that? You knew that, Ronnie. I knew a whole family that I had done business with when I was running a small business in California. And all of them, I mean, every one of them were Christians, but they were Farsi. Their language that they spoke was Farsi. They did Christmas. They did all of that. Let's continue. By the 10th century, the Khazars wrote using Hebrew letters. The major Khazar Jewish documents from that period were written in the Hebrew language, but you and me and everybody in the chat knows that wasn't the true Hebrew. They didn't even understand it well enough for them to do it. That's why everything is jacked up now. It's a little-ish. Anyway, you cannot have all them tribes and only have one that stands out and covers all the tribes. I digress. Let me keep pushing. The Ukrainian professor Untitled Chapter estimated that there were as many as 30,000 Jews in Khazaria by the 10th century. In 2002, the Swedish numismatist, y'all know what that is, Gert Ripsling, discovered a Khazar Jewish coin. In general, the Khazars may be described as a productive and tolerant people in contact with much of the rest of the world and providing goods and services at home and abroad. Many artifacts from the Khazars exhibiting their artistic and industrial talents have survived to this present day. This is where we're going to end it, right here. Decline and fall. During the 10th century, the East Slavs were united under Scandinavian overlordship. A new nation, Kievan Rus, was formed by Prince Oleg. Just as the Khazars had left their mark on other peoples, so too did they influence the Rus. The Rus and the Hungarians both adopted the dual kingship system of the Khazars. The Rus princes even borrowed the title Kagan. Archaeologists recovered a variety of Khazar and Khazar-styled objects. Get ready, Ronnie. I want you to take over from here, including clothing and pottery from Viking grave sites in Chernigov, Ginzodovo, Kiev, and even Burka, quote-unquote, Sweden. The residents of Kievan Rus patterned their legal procedures after the Khazars. In addition, some Khazar words became a part of the Old East Slavic language. For example, Bogatar means brave knight. Apparently, it derives from the Khazarian word bagater. So now, I want to say this before I read this final paragraph. Remember how everybody was like, well, was it Rosh? Was Rosh Russia? Is Rosh Russia? Is this that? You see, they took the different languages, right? That's how you end up with all these different terminologies that sound like, somebody has just got a whole bunch of stuff going on while they're trying to say things, because they are taking pieces of words, pieces of meanings, and put it together. All right. The Rus inherited most of the former Khazar islands. The Rus inherited most of the former Khazar lands in the late 10th century and early 11th century. One of the most devastating defeats came in 965 when the Rus prince Svyatoslav conquered the Khazar fortress at Sarkal. It is believed that he conquered until 2 years later, after which he campaigned in the Balkans. Despite the loss of their nation, the Khazar people did not disappear. Many of them converted to Islam. Hello! And survived in the North Caucasus and the Central Asian regions under what? New identities. What has your girl been telling you? Hey, yo! Others lived and studied in other Jewish communities from Spain, which some of them got ran up out of a long time ago, to the Byzantine Empire, but in the end had no impact on the ancestral composition of any modern Jewish population. Lies, I tell you, lies. That is a lie. It is impossible for you to be around others and not have any of your ancestral composition change. This goes right along with the first lie that they told while we were reading this, and that was, but they didn't have no Ashkenazi. And you're lying. You're lying. It's not true. Ronnie, man.
Well, it's important to note several things, but wow, right? Wow. But mind you, so we're talking about a Slavic people, and they were what, quote unquote, vernacular would be called pagan, prior to the conversion. And it's obvious that once they are under pressure or what have you, that they convert elsewhere.
Yeah.
As well.
They getting hot in here. It's getting hot in here. They got to go. They got to roll out. They have to roll out. Hey, Poppy Love, good to see you, baby. Hey, Rond, how are you?
So, chameleon comes to mind.
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't know it was too loud, Rod. Thank you, baby. I haven't seen you in a long time. Thank you for giving me that. Samantha, hello.
So, it's interesting. Man, there's so many fascinating points, but being where you ended off, a lot of them ended up in Spain, but there's a significant thing. We think 1492, that's when Christopher Columbus came over to the Americas or what have you. 1492 is a staple. That time frame or that date is a staple, but in actuality, that's that's when the quote unquote Jews got expelled from Spain.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They got kicked out.
Exactly. So they're getting kicked out of every nation. It's almost, I don't know. You had Dr. B, he talks about parasites and things like this. I don't want to say too much because there's nothing. It's so interesting. I'll just use that terminology. It's so interesting. The people.
Sandy Aaron says before they adopted a religion, they were called serpent people. Yep. So, Ronnie Man, when do you want to come back so that we can do the full breakdown that you had done the other day that I was amazed by? Disciple of the Messiah 1 says, you don't have to say another word, Brother Ronnie. I hope the sound is not bad anymore, you guys. I tried to tweak it a little bit. So I hope that you guys, I may have to just scrap this video because I don't want it to be all loud and blaring, people in the replay trying to listen to it. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. I apologize. Let's see. This has been interesting. Thank you, Felicia and Ronnie Mann. Yes, thank you, Marty Lauderdale, for being here. Well, Ronnie, what do you want to say before we close? I'm gonna give it to you.
Scrutinize what was said, and definitely look at the historical evidence, look at the archaeological evidence, and match it up, and throw out the fat and digest the meat and potatoes, because when you really see things for what they are, you can see the players on the world stage today, and you can make certain connections that you would have not made as far as connecting dots go, and you'll start to see a timeline begin to manifest with these players. Like you said, it's a chessboard. Pay attention. And what's interesting is a lot of people are not paying attention, or they're paying attention. We think that we're paying attention, but what we're really paying attention to is the fluff, and we're not peeling back the layers to really dive in to see exactly what's going on. Because when you see, and it's on purpose, but when you see exactly what's going on, you can see a timeline, and you can see what is contrived versus what is. And there's a lot of things being that is contrived, so you can pay attention to the fluff. But yeah, these world stage players have been the same world stage players throughout at least modern history, throughout time, really, but definitely throughout modern history.
Yep. I agree with you, Ronnie, and I appreciate you for being here with us this morning. I know you're very tired. Esma Darlington, they're being told what to think. Power of propaganda. Exactly. So true. Marty Lauderdale agrees with you, Esma Darlington. So it's just to make. Go ahead, Ronnie. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, as far as when you read Daniel, this beast system even seeks and thinks to change laws and times, and you can see that who are the powers at play that are even capable to say, hey, this is what time it is, and have the authority to actually make and manifest that time to be the time that they stated that it's going to be. It's like there's a certain power structure in play, and when you see who this power structure is, or I don't know, the puppet master behind the scenes, if you will, then we can get a more firm grasp, because the time frame lets you know these feast days. But they don't want, and feast day, when you align yourself up with these feast days, I harp on this often because it is so vitally important to be on Yah's timeline. You have to be on Yah's timeline. They tell you to look for, the spring equinox, and it's all contrived. It's all contrived. The spring equinox, whatever you think the spring equinox in your mind is, it's not. You're saying the same verbiage, but you're not. They think they're saying it a different way, and when they convey it, they're conveying it the way that they have manipulated and made it. And when you hear it, you're thinking something else in your head. So all these time markers, these time markers are very true and very sound. However, they take the terminology and they twist it and manipulate it, and they have the control. So when they're saying the same time marker, they're saying something different. Everything is a spell. It really, really is. And it gets you off base. It gets you off base to the time. It gets you off base to the players. And you have to peel back the onion. And then, like an onion, there's many layers. You think I did all this work and peeled back the layer. There's like 12 more layers. So many layers to this. And you have to pull them all back to get to the root. I said that because we're off base. Because, when you called me earlier, you were talking about the Sabbath. And we're off base because we're listening to the power players versus... Whoa. You're listening to the power. We're listening to the power play. I'm sorry. You put an image on the screen and it threw me off. But we're listening to the power player's words instead of listening to the words of Yah. So, we have to be able to distinguish and tell the difference.
I put that on there on purpose. Thank you so much, Esma Darlington, for your offering. I so appreciate it, and it is well needed. Thank you, sister. So, I want you to look at that. I want you to look at it very carefully, because we just described this very thing. Who does this? Who does this?
Yeah, I'm sorry, that threw me off.
Yeah. I wanted the shock value. We need the shock value. Some people we need to be shocked. Some of us really need to be shocked. Pope Grand Imam sign historic declaration of peace.
So that is clearly ecumenical.
Yeah. Look at this down here. Who is that? That's a Sikh, right? Is that a Sikh? It's a Sikh. I think the Sikh. And what about the Dagon?
And so, mind you, these are the major world religions.
Mm-hmm.
These are the major world religions. I would like to emphasize these are called world religions. And we're not supposed to be. We're supposed to be in the world, but not of it. And I'm going to say that again. These are called world religions. Okay, I'll leave it.
Okay, and so the purpose for me showing this is because I need you guys to open your eyes and see something. Even when you say, "Well, I'm a Christian," really? Okay, no problem.
It is a world religion. Okay.
No problem. There you go. No problem. No problem at all. I got something for you. You know who that is. I don't care if people say, I don't follow them. Okay, well, you follow some of these cats. Yeah, you follow some of them. Yeah. And look at that. Doesn't that look like a yarmulke?
Hey, but you say you follow some of these cats, even if you follow the science. It's all the same thing.
Yeah, look at that. Who is that? He's in the Middle East. Who is that? Who's that? Who are they? What's good? What is that? Blatant ecumenicalism. They say ecumenism. They say blatant ecumenism. So you a Christian? You are? Okay, that's cool. You gonna stay that way? No, hold on, Ronnie. Hold on, I gotta ask a question. You gonna stay that way? Or are you gonna get into the feast days? Are you gonna get into following the Sabbath? Are you gonna get into seeing what Yah said to do? Because if you're any of these that's on this screen right here, well, you know you don't belong to him, right? So today is the day to get into his word and to follow what he says and to live for him and to do what he tells you to do. This is the month to show complete and utter love. Complete and utter love, because dark attaches itself to dark. And at the end of the month, when the dark begins to crash against other dark, it will attach itself to dark. No matter what part of this country, no matter what part of this universe, planet that you are on, once they start crashing that dark against the dark, wherever you are, it will crash you. Go ahead, Ronnie.
I was just gonna say, as far as the Khazarian Empire, they were a tolerant people.
Oh, so, yeah.
You can see the different attributes manifested even today through ecumenicalism, being tolerant. We're supposed to be set apart. If you're tolerating certain things, it's pretty much the opposite of being set apart. You're supposed to be separated. You're supposed to be over there. While everyone who's tolerating is over here collectively, you're supposed to be over there. And sometimes that might mean that it looks as though you're all by yourself over there, but you're supposed to be set apart. And I encourage you, I'm saying this emphatically to the listener, you are supposed to be set apart. Are you? You're supposed to be set apart. Not tolerating a one, hodgepodge, mesh, you know, ecumenicalism. No, we're supposed to be separated. Separate yourselves. Choose ye this day. I don't know. We can go on and on. You get the point.
Don't believe us, please. I don't want you to. I never, ever want you to. I never want you to believe anything. What I want you to do is to seek out and search the scriptures. And, for the longest time, we have always said, well, I was just moved by this and that, or I just felt that it was the right thing to do, or, I prayed about it. Well, if you're praying the same way you've always prayed, you're not going to get anything different, because whatever it is that you've been praying, how you've been praying, is still going to give you the exact same results. I want you to get the word. I want you to break down these words. I want you to get into the word and study. Study. Because once you begin to study, you're going to see that all of this, all of it, look, U.S. partners with Vatican on Chrislam. Once you begin to study, you're going to find that what Yah wants you to do is to keep his feast days and to worship him, to love one another, to come out of her. Come out of her. Come out of her. You've got to do it. You've got to. You don't have the option. You've been shared. You've been the truth has been shared over and over again. All right. And I just want you guys to get it. We all got to get it. And even when we get it, we got to get some more. So I want to thank each and every one of you for being with us today. Thank you, Rod. I'm going to listen back to this to decide whether or not to keep it up, because if the volume was too overt, I don't want anybody to suffer through that. But I do want to thank you for being here. Thank each and every one of you for coming in today. As you know, what we always say on any of the Felicia Lockhart Group publications, that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High. Until we see each other again, you guys, please continue to be blessed. I want you to take care of yourselves, and I want you to take care of one another. But above all, I want you to show love, true love, true love. That's the principal thing for you right now, is to walk in love. I'm not saying be a doormat, but I am telling you, where there's an opportunity to show anything dark, let the dark go. Let the dark go. You guys take care of yourselves and take care of one another. Until we see each other again, please continue to be blessed. I'm going to hug the neck of Robert Ingram and Anthony Van Zant right now. Thank you guys for being here, and I see you. Rachel, love you.
Lockhart Perspective.